Well, hello everyone. My name is JJ Asgar, and I'm a developer advocate for IBM Cloud. And today we have an awesome opportunity to see some brand new things coming out of IBM Developer, where I'm going to have two friends of mine joining me. Amol, are you there?
Yes, JJ. Good morning, good afternoon,
Wonderful.
everyone.
Nice. And then Griesh, are you there too?
Yes. Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Yes. So y'all are not in the continental U.S. Where are you right now?
Yeah, so I am in a place called Pune in India. It's like
Okay.
the temperature is picking up now. It's getting really hot. So it's a summertime in India, JJ.
Wonderful. So Mo, how about you keep going? Well, introduce yourself for us.
Sure, thanks. I am part of the Ecosystem Labs team. I am an STSM and chief architect for the offering that we are going to talk about, which is Technology Sandbox. So I have around 20 plus years of experience in IT industry and played different roles as a solution architect, as an enterprise architect, working in IBM for more than a decade. So you can say like an old time IBMer or a newbie as well from an IBM
Nice.
perspective. And I'm a master inventor as well. I hold around 50 odd patents on my name. That's about me, JJ.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. And Grish, how about you introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, sure. Yeah, you might find a few things similar between Amol and me. I'm also from the same city, Pune, in India. I'm also part of the Ecosystem Labs. I've been in IBM also for around 20 plus years. So I'm currently the engineering lead for the technology sandbox that we're going to show you, and pretty exciting to do that. And I too, in my passion in IBM within is again patenting. I hold around 25 plus patents in IBM, and that's a thought process that keeps going on whenever we do some development or do anything that we see around you. How do we find out uniqueness? How do we find out novelty? So it's always an interesting point there. But looking forward to this session and showing everyone the sandbox environment.
Awesome. Well, thanks, y'all. So yeah, the we have a couple people watching, which is always great. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please don't hesitate to throw those in the chat, and I will try to get them passed along in a good way. But Amol, so tell me the problem space. Like, first of all, why does this technology exist? And like, tell me, like, I know what a sandbox is. I was a 5-year-old boy at some point. I played with some trucks inside of a sandbox. But tell me why this exists and why we should be so excited.
Sure, absolutely. I think great question, JJ. Everyone would be hearing about sandbox. They would have played with the sandbox, maybe from their early childhood. Even the kids today, they play with like maybe Scrabble or sandboxes. But what we are bringing on the table is a completely different piece of framework, software, whatever you want to call it. So think about a developer, a architect, a tech seller who wants
Mhm.
to get acquainted to a new technology. So typically there are different ways to do that, where the first is like maybe you will go to some learning path, you will learn about it. But if you want to experience that what this particular technology is about, the technology sandbox is the place where you should see some of the nice solutions that would help you to not only learn technology, but it would provide you a no code kind of an environment where you don't need to literally know about the technology in depth. With couple of actions, couple of clicks, a very interactive pattern that we have, you would be able to go from point A to point B and get your solution up and running. So what used to take like maybe 4 5 10 hours to get a solution running for a developer or an architect, this technology sandbox will get a solution up and running in, I would say, between 5 to 10 minutes. And you will see the magic when Girish is going to do the demo.
Well, that seems like a pretty good challenge right there. 5 to 10 minutes live. I like that idea. Um, So okay, so it's an idea. It's a way for us to play with newer technologies that are coming along the pipeline that we want to show off as IBM and our strengths, which makes
Right.
perfect sense. Like, how many times have I watched a video trying to understand something where I'm like, I just wish I could get my hands dirty. Wow, that's a lot of time to get something up and running. I've got kids. I don't have all the time in the world, kind of thing. So that's great. Okay, so the problem space is pretty regular, and I mean that we all experience as engineers. How did we come along to this? Like, was it something that we were just like, we should just be the first to market to do, or did we kind of get influence from someone else to kind of go down these paths?
Yeah, again a very excellent question, JJ. So maybe maybe I'll tell you brief background, brief story
Yeah.
where we started and how we have arrived at this particular piece. So as one of our offering, which is called as API hub, we were building that particular offering, which is like, maybe think about it like maybe an aggregation of all the APIs, uh, not literally a marketplace, but it is an hub of all the APIs in IBM, from partners, from IBM research, and so on and so forth. So
Okay.
while we were trying to build that offering, one of the thing, what we did is like, we went to the developers, architect, did some kind of an survey. We went to IBM Champions as well, and we were trying to get some kind of an feedback while we were building that. One
So
of the
sorry, Mo,
important.
but hold on before I go any farther. What's an IBM champion? I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
Oh, okay, okay. IBM champions are someone who are not in IBM, but they typically evaluate IBM technologies.
Okay.
So, like, maybe they can be a partner, they can be maybe a customer. They are not IBMers, but they are designated as IBM champions, and they will typically evaluate the technology. They will give you a feedback around that particular technology that IBM is bringing in.
Nice. Okay. Thank you for that.
Sure, sure. So the feedback that we got is like, when a developer or a solution architect wants to see an API, typically what happens is, when you want to execute an API, you will get some kind of an output of that particular API, some kind of an response from your endpoint, be it like in the form of JSON, be it in the form of like, maybe if you're using GraphQL. But what developers typically look for, they or architects typically look for, they look for how they can build something of this particular API. They want to see something in action rather than like having some kind of a response. That was a very candid feedback that came to us when we were building API hub. And most of the developers said that, yeah, maybe a playground kind of an scenario would be helpful to us, where we are able to execute, we are able to launch this particular application with that particular API. And that's where the journey of Technology Sandbox started. We started building sample application, micro application, based on one or more APIs. As we progressed further, as we spoke to a lot of executives, lot of stakeholders in IBM, they think this is a cool technology, and we should look at more or less like an end-to-end solution. And that's where we are today, where Sandbox provides an end-to-end solution scenario. Again, there can be a micro application, there can be a progressive application, which Girish is going to talk about, and there can be an end-to-end application which would be using one or more of our cloud pack, one of more of our IBM cloud services as well. JJ, I hope
Nice.
I answer your question, though
No,
I
that
took
was
some
one.
time. But
No, that's wonderful. That's great. Like having the background of this story is very important because how many times have we seen some new product or offering come from IBM and we're just like, where the hell did that come from? like well, why is this here? Kind of
yeah,
thing. And to have that color really brings in, like, this is something that we all as developers hit at some point in our career, that we were like, hey, like, I need help here. So, Grias,
yeah,
how about you fill in some gaps here? Do you want to go ahead and share your screen and show us
Sure.
off some demos here?
Yep.
All right,
Okay. So,
there we go.
yep. Okay. So I'm on the Technology Sandbox homepage, right?
Mhm.
So what we have here is, as Amol mentioned, it's a solution that is given to a developer or an architect or a data scientist or a tech sales guy, right? They can come in, they can experience application. So currently we have a specific set of applications that are onboarded on the sandbox. So if you look at it, we have a set which probably can be listed down as into three categories maybe. There is one which goes across different industries like banking, agriculture, or the customer churn area, where we make use of IBM services and IBM Cloud Pak for data services. Then there is a different set which makes use of IBM research APIs, right? And this
Mhm.
might be something that might interest, let's say, data scientists, wherein they come in, they have a data set which they are trying to identify as to what the anomalies are or what the data quality is. So these could be solutions which they could leverage to get more insights.
Mhm.
And then the third set is some set of APIs wherein we can integrate IBM and third-party APIs together into one solution. So we call it a progressive integration. For example, travel, let's say, right? We start with one solution which makes use of weather APIs, and then we know, in terms of travel, the here technologies which provides location-based services, that might be good to integrate into this. So there is a solution which will tell you, okay, seamlessly integrate the here APIs also into the same solution and give me a common solution which I can more easily identify with when I am planning my travel in some way. So these are the set of solutions that we currently have onboarded on the sandbox. What I would do is I will start with one of them. Let me pick up the risk prediction one for bank loans, right?
Okay.
And when I get onto that, on that particular tile that you have, I will then get on to the IBM Technology Sandbox area, and it opens up in a separate tab, right? And it logs me in with my IBM ID, which I already have done, and it will take me to the initial intermediate page for the sandbox. Now, just to give you an idea, the technology sandbox is based on the Eclipse J open source framework. And what that gives us is it gives us a workspace concept. That means one workspace which is assigned to a user, one workspace which has all the utilities baked into it for user to come in and try out a solution, try out an application, uh, and then probably get experience of how that application is being built and perform some actions within it.
So
Currently,
Grias, yeah, I got a question. Up in that top right hand corner, I see a number counting down. Is that how long we have to play with this? Like, if can we walk away
yes,
and come back, or is it only just these 3 hours and 30 minutes?
right. Yeah, I was just getting to that. So
Oh, cool.
currently, for the tech preview that we have, we are providing the one workspace to a user for a period of 4 hours, right? So
Okay.
so so the timer will give you how long you have before this workspace times out. And within that 4 hours, what a user could do is the user could come into the sandbox multiple times, try out multiple applications, get a feel of it. But after that 4 hours, this workspace times out and is cleaned up.
Mm.
But the user can come back and they would get another new workspace, a clean workspace, and that workspace can again be used for the next 4 hours. But as I go into it, you will understand that whatever the user had tried out in the previous workspace, there will be a history of all that is maintained, and it will be shown to the user in the new workspace as well. So they are aware of what they have done previously and what they are currently going to do in this new session as well,
Nice. Cool.
right? So as you see, I have come in here to identify what the risk prediction for bank loans is. That's the thing. I go ahead and launch the technology sandbox, and that's where we are actually getting into the IDE environment now. For a new user who's coming in, there's a quick carousel which gives the user an experience or gives a user a screenshot idea as to what they can expect within the sandbox. So there is a menu a list of navigation panels which can give you different perspectives on what are the applications that are available. There is an interactive readme, as I call it, which is a timeline of instructions that the developer could execute in order to go through the experience, right? I'll skip this now and let the IDE load completely.
Mm-hmm.
And when the IDE loads, the first thing that you will see is getting loaded is the interactive Readme, which is using a VS Code extension called Didact, which gives the user actionable set of some set of which the developer or the user can go through in order to understand what this application is, right? So as you see, we are in the sandbox used for in order to understand what the risk prediction for bank loans is. We have explained what the execution flow would be for this application. A quick learning links if the user wants to go through before continuing. And this particular application makes use of certain IBM cloud services. So those services, if the user needs to understand those services, we can get to those as well using the links.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we need to? We start with it. Of course, cloud services. So we need to have a cloud account created, and we will be using the IBM Cloud Pack for data resources as well. So we need to make sure that you have one and you have logged in to make sure that your account has been initialized well. Finally, a critical one, kind of instructions that will help the developer go through this whole sequence of the application. I'll run through the sequence, and as I'm going through this, I'll explain more. So we start with one single sandbox terminal, basically one terminal which has all the utilities included in it, embedded into it, which we have any CLIs, the IBM Cloud Login CLI, if there are any libraries that are required, any particular utilities, all would be baked into it. I then get my source code for the application that I'm trying to use within the sandbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, a Git code. So as you see in the terminal, the user gets to know what exactly is happening. Now here I get to know that I'm actually cloning a Git repo into my sandbox environment in order to try it out, right? Now once that repo is done, that's done, I'll go ahead and install the dependencies. The idea is to give the user, the developer, or an architect a complete list, a detailed list of what is possibly they should expect and how is the application actually progressing. So the developer here gets to know. So I'm using the word developer, but as I said, it could be the personas could be varying, right? It could be a tech sales person who wants to try it out for a demo. He can quickly come in and set it up and show a demo if it is something related to cloud services, cloud pack for data services, right?
Absolutely.
So developer has seen now what are the dependencies that are loaded. I go ahead and then do a login to IBM Cloud. So as you see, the IBM Cloud CLI has been baked in, and that's what is used for me to log into my cloud account from within the sandbox. So I need a one-time code which I will then get from here. Let me just log in into the account that I have. And that will then give me the one-time code which I need to log in into my account from within the sandbox. There it is. I'll copy it, go back here, and paste the one-time code here. Right
And
now,
then
that completes my
and,
login.
and anyone watching in the future, don't bother trying to steal that because it's already expired.
Yes, it expires once I
That
activate
was
it.
a good catch, JJ.
You'd be amazed on how many people will try. Will try. They do scrape these videos for those API keys, and it's amazing. I've had some weird stuff show up on some of my computers.
Okay, so I'm logged in. I go ahead and create the services. So as you mentioned previously, there are three services that are there in object storage, which now gets created, and that's the cost. That's there. The instance is created successfully. A machine learning instance which comes in, and then the Watson Studio that is created. So I have my services
Wonderful.
created. Now, I'll go ahead and interact with my Cloud Pack for data account, right? So I create an
Mm-hmm.
API key which is required. I then go ahead and create the deployment space. Now, from a user perspective, the user might not be aware of what a deployment space is on Cloud Pack for data. And what Sandbox allows is, with minimal information that the user has, they will be able to try out this application and understand how you can build an application which is based on IBM Cloud Services and Cloud Pack for Data Services. And once they get an experience, they can probably come back and get into the details about how it was done. What is a deployment space? What is a model that got deployed in the deployment space? So idea was to give the user a quick preview, a quick experience of that application, and then let the developer come back or the user come back and explore further more into the other details. So just to give you an idea, a deployment space is something like some area in my Cloud Pack for Data account wherein I can create multiple deployments, which will have different models that can be imported into that space, right? And then that model could then be used from within an application to make predictions. Yes,
Nice.
AJ.
So it's like a shared environment. Like it's a segregated environment that can share in multiple workspaces from one model. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the space could be used from multiple workspaces as well, but a single space could be used, or you could create multiple workspaces as well as per what your requirement is.
Well, yeah. The idea that you'd have multiple data engineers working on one deployment space, but all in different workspaces, so they don't step on each other's toes. Is that right?
Right, but if multiple data scientists are working, they might be if they log in into the same cloud account, then yes, they could be using the same account or the same space. But if they
Understood.
log in with multiple accounts, then they would need to have deployment space created into their accounts as well.
Ah, got it. Okay, good. Very good clarification. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So the space will be associated with one Cloud Pack for Data account. So based on what you log in into, that space would need to be created in that account,
Understood.
right?
Okay.
So yeah, I went ahead. The space was created. I went ahead and deployed my model into that particular space. Then I go ahead and launch the application. Now, this is a simple React application that I'm bringing up. And again, I won't need to move out of my sandbox environment. The application gets opened up right within the preview in this particular single pane, right? And
Nice.
I actually, as I mentioned, I get to know how the application is progressing further as well as it's coming up. Yes, DJ, did you have a question?
No, I was just saying that's awesome. I didn't actually know that happened. That's really helpful. That's really helpful.
Exactly.
Good,
So
great
that's the
job, gentlemen.
experience.
That's awesome.
We wanted to keep the focus intact. We don't want the user to switch context, go to a different tab, and probably see what's happening, come back and switch tabs. So it's all in one single pane. And the interactive readme, the terminal, and the preview all together gives the user a complete experience of what's happening, what the user is doing, and how the application is actually running. Right. So this is a bank loan application, a risk prediction one. So if you give you details, you need to enter details about a particular customer who is wanting a particular loan on certain factors. So we have all those details. I'll go ahead and use the default values that have been added here. I could change it. But once I submit this, what this application does is it then interacts with the model that I had deployed as part of my instructions here,
Mhm.
right? And as that model prediction, depending on the factors that I had listed for the customer, it gave me a prediction saying that giving a loan to this particular customer has some amount of risk, probably. And it probably gives me some recommended offer for that particular customer as well, right? So that's the application. I can probably go back and probably try out a different factors here in terms of if there is a new customer with a different set of parameters that they want to try out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's the
So JJ,
experience. That's the
one,
try
yeah.
aspect. Yes,
Yeah,
Amol.
so Girish, sorry, want to add one thing. So JJ, if you have seen, this is a pre-trained model which is
Mhm.
already trained and deployed with in the deployment space. So
Yeah.
what we are doing is we are having some data sets on which this particular model has been trained, and for a user who is trying to look at this particular end-to-end solution, they would be able to leverage the trained model, so they don't need to worry about training of that model,
Mm.
deployment of that model. All those hardships are taken away from any user who is coming to the sandbox. And that's where, when I was saying that this is different than a typical sandbox, where it is a solution driven approach, where you get an entire solution working on the sandbox with few clicks. You might have seen, like, maybe in in 10 minutes we were, or less than 10 minutes, we were able to run this particular application. Now
Mhm.
if any user want to get this application up and running, even if they have the code set, if they are aware about all those things, it is typically going to take more than 5 or 6 hours with a user who has knowledge about all these things. But what we are doing is we are helping them to get it run in less than 10 minutes. So that's the beauty of the sandbox.
That is really nice. That is very nice.
So yeah, so the application is run. So what the user has done is they have tried the application, right? That's a try aspect that we have. Now, once they have tried it, they feel that okay, I want to play around with it. And what I mean by play is they need to look at the right? So I'll go ahead and stop this application. I'll just collapse this, and I'll go ahead and explore my code. That's where the user would be able to see the complete source code that is available for this particular application, go through the different files that are available, the deployments that can be done, the Docker file, how do you Dockerize it, and then once they get an idea, they can make changes to this, right? They can make the changes to the source code to either change the UI, or possibly they might think that, okay, I need to integrate another API into this or another cloud service into this. They can, if they have that experience, they can go and try this out, make the changes, come back here, relaunch the application, and when they relaunch it, it will come back into the same preview, but with the changes that they made, and that has been built and launched within this preview itself. So they have done the try. They went ahead and played around with changes to the application as well, right? And they got a feel how this solution could be leveraged by them for any other solution they're looking for. It could be used as a sort of building blocks for their own solutions. They can think about it, look at it, understand it, and then adopt it. Right.
Can you
So
humor me and change the word age to like age of human or something, just so I can see that update real fast? Is that asking too
okay,
much?
let me get to
Just something
that.
simple like that. Like I mean I know that you said it happens, but we need to see it.
Okay. Let me change the title here, right?
Perfect.
That's the get. Yeah? Okay. Get the risk index for bank loan application on Sandbox.
Perfect.
Right. I've done that. I here. Let's say I do a relaunch, which will basically build the application again, and I will wait for it to launch. Yeah, there it goes. Right. Made
Hey,
the change.
perfect.
I made
Nice.
the change, and it's up here. So similarly, this
Nice.
is a very simple one, JJ, as you pointed
Sure.
out. We could the user might think that there could be more parameters that could add. So I could add probably one more text
Yeah.
box here, which could add a different age value, or the age is there, maybe something else. And but the model has to support it, right? The UI has to understand it and support it. But those changes can come in, and the user could play around with it. Yes, good
Awesome.
point. Thanks for bringing that up, JJ. Okay, now that they have played around it, what they want to do is they want to adopt it. So when I say adopt, we have the Git feature integrated into the sandbox, and they can use that to push the complete source code into their Git repository, right? And then once they have pushed it out, they can go out, and once they check out, they can probably try it out in a different IDE that they are using, or they could come back to the sandbox as well and get the same repository into the new session and keep trying it out further that they wanted to do. So we have that adopt feature that they can push it along with them, use it in any solution that they want as probably building blocks, pick up code snippets from this application in whatever way they want, right? Uh,
Nice.
then the other part is, as I mentioned, the different panels. As I said, there is a history of whatever application I have already tried out in my previous workspaces that I had picked up on the sandbox. So I can probably go to it and revisit those. But there are a set of featured applications as well, right? I'm trying out the risk prediction, but as I mentioned in the home page, we have something around agriculture, something to understand how a customer churn prediction can be done, or a data scientist if they want to understand what are the anomalies in their data sets. And this would again give them the same experience of the interactive readme that we had in the background. So they will have a set of instructions, what this anomaly detection application does, learning length, timeline of instruction which they can quickly go through. Just click, 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 and they would be able to run this, build it, launch it, and check it out as well further to understand how it does. So that's the whole concept of Sandbox. So once I have done this, I have done it, I can quickly come and stop the application, and then I can go ahead and clean up. So the services that got created in my account will be cleaned up right from this particular session so that I don't leave any residue back behind. I can
Nice.
come back and try it out afresh as well by creating new instances.
Awesome.
So
It's
that's a
going to
complete
save
cycle.
cost, JJ. It's going to save your
Yeah,
cost.
exactly.
Yeah. You are not consuming the services, you are not consuming the model.
Exactly.
So yep, and that's where the cleanup is important.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Amol, anything that you said you think we should point out further
Yeah,
in
so
this?
I think couple of things, Girish. One is like maybe if someone faces some issues while working on this, how they can support. I think that is one.
Right.
Like,
Fine.
and if there is some kind of an feedback that people want to give, how they can give that particular feedback. If there are some features that needs to be incorporated. So, JJ, just to give a perspective, like we are doing this session from last 1.5 months, and as a part of feedback we are getting some good feedbacks, and I'm going to talk about those as well. The feedback that we are getting, we are trying to implement those features in the sandbox itself as well. But
Nice.
let Girish show you like maybe the support mechanism, the feedback
Right.
mechanism from sandbox.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah, sorry, I missed that. Thanks for bringing that up, Amol. So yeah, if while you're trying this, yeah, you would definitely have some feedback. You would have probably suggestions, or you could even see probably some problems that you think that should be corrected. And we have the support mechanism right within the interactive readme for every application, and that will then take me to her GitHub account, which I can then log into and oops, oh, oops, oopsie, oopsie. Up, did I forget my? Start picking it up. I think I need to get to the other one.
It's one of those passwords. You never know which one, right?
Yeah, I sure I'm logged in, and that's the reason that when you get it saved here and it saves it, it will mess it up for you. Ah, there it goes. Oh no, no. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Believe me, it gets onto the GitHub account,
Mhm.
and you will be able to have different templates of issues that you can create, and you'll probably have. Let me try if I can get in there from a different browser. Give me just 1 minute.
Sure. It's live demos for you. These
Mhm.
things always happen. These things always happen. So just so while he's working on that, just to make people, if you just catching up with us now, we're talking about developer.ibm.com/sandbox and a new environment that we have launched at IBM that allows you to play with full environments with really interesting opportunities to play with IBM technologies underneath it and have the most um, streamlined uh, yeah, streamlined is a good word. Experience. So you actually
Yep.
pay more attention to the technology instead of the infrastructure, which is extremely important. Like no joke, you can lose hours and hours and hours trying to set some of this stuff up when you're like, what? Why didn't I just this seems ridiculous. So we want the developers to develop, not build infrastructure.
Right. Okay, I finally got in. So this is a GitHub repo that will be sent to when you do the support. So you could create probably if you do identify a bug, please let us know. We would be looking forward to get it corrected. Or if you think that something new could be added, a feature request or a feedback or any question that you have. So we have multiple templates created, and you could probably open up an issue specific to that. Right? If I have a feedback, please let us know what asset you have been trying and what is the feedback that you have on that particular asset, and we will make sure that we get back to you with more details. That's on the support part. We have a list of FAQs that you can take a look in case you need to understand uh, what else. Does this also need a again?
Is there
Yeah, yeah.
a Slack channel or a Slack team or something like that we can join to have conversations real time with other people using the sandbox, or is it all mainly asynchronously through GitHub issues?
Yeah, so
This is
currently
one.
JJ we are Yeah. So,
Sorry, go ahead,
so
Amol.
yeah. So currently, JJ, we are supporting through GitHub issue, but there would be a Slack channel that would be available. We are trying to like maybe put all those things in process where
Sure.
maybe external users would be able to like interact with us as well via the
Yep.
Slack channel. So those things are being worked upon at this point of time. So at this point of time, we have the async process.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I'm part of so many different Slack workspaces or teams now that I'm glad to see that this is just asynchronously because you know, like I really don't need another one personally, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So that's it. So I think yeah, we would want folks to try it out, and more importantly, give us feedback. I think we have the mechanism for doing that. We will look forward to that one. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so JJ, we are coming with as I was saying, like some new features that we are building in, and that's going to be released in April. So if you look at timeline, so people started using it. We have seen like huge users coming to the sandbox, and they start exploring it. One of the challenge that they faced when working on this was, like, let's say I click on get the code, okay, that particular button, and then you got a phone call from someone, and you got distracted. Now you come back on the sandbox, so you are confused whether you have clicked on get the code, or
Ah,
you have clicked on install dependencies. So
yep,
what we are doing as a new feature is we are putting a timeline together. Whichever task is complete, it will be having a specific color code, and there would be a checkbox against that, so that
nice,
you are aware that what all tasks that you have completed as a part of this interactive didact. That is one of the feature that is going to be available in the month of April. Another one is like Girish has shown that if someone wants to, like, maybe explore the code, they are able to explore the code. Now once they have explored the code, they want to, like, let's say they want to get the code back to their own GitHub, a personal GitHub repo or an enterprise GitHub repo. So currently we have a manual process where we are telling them what steps they need to take in order to get that particular code back to their GitHub repo, where they have to, like, maybe go to terminal, and then probably, like, maybe do some steps in order to get that code. So we are also coming up with one feature. For every asset, you will see a button where clicking on that particular button, you would be able to get that particular code back to your GitHub repo. So you don't really have to follow a certain manual steps in
mm,
order to do that. So that's another feature that you will see coming out in April as well. So these are the new
nice.
two features that we are incorporating. Apart from that, what we want is, we are currently focusing on the data and AI data fabric sales play. So what we are looking for is we are trying to bring more and more assets in different sales plays, different areas on the sandbox. So we
Mm,
are building an AI infused asset onboarding toolkit as well as a part of this particular sandbox. So if anyone has any asset that is already existing and they see a value of getting that asset to larger audience, they can use this asset onboarding framework in order to get their assets on the sandbox as well. So that's the third thing that we are building in, and it's going to be available in Q2, where the first step of that particular framework is uh, it will do, like, maybe a checkpoint whether there is a feasibility of this particular asset. uh, can that this asset be brought on the sandbox? Once it says yes and no, then you see the beautiful interactive didact. You would be able to create the interactive didact dynamically. That's the part of that particular framework that we are building in. And then you would be able to take your asset which is lying somewhere in the organization on this particular sandbox in a easy way, which can be leveraged by multiple audience, multiple users. So that's another thing that we are working on at this point of time. Yep.
nice, nice. I like it. I like it. So we still have a couple people watching. And if anyone has any questions or thoughts or questions, anyway, um, please don't hesitate to throw those in the chat. I feel like we've gone over pretty well what we wanted to show off and all. And this is really cool, guys. Like no joke. Um, like this is really neat, and it's really fun to see it all coming together. I heard rumors about it a long time ago,
Oh,
but
good or bad,
it's
JJ?
all
Good or bad?
well, that's a conversation for a different time. Um, but this what you showed was really neat, and it's exactly what we want our developers to do. We want them to look at the code and leverage the code more so than the infrastructure. As much as of a sysadmin I am, and how much I love setting up infrastructure, that doesn't make money, right? Code makes money, and this is a great opportunity to get more people writing code.
Absolutely, absolutely, and leverage IBM solutions as well.
Yep. Exactly. Awesome. Well, I'm happy, y'all. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to hand out to our audience?
Yeah, so we definitely want everyone to like maybe explore the sandbox. Go to developer.ibm.com/sandbox, explore it, uh, play, try, and explore, experience, and then probably once you experience, if you feel some challenges, reach back to us. We would be happy to support. If there are new features that you think that needs to be incorporated, please fill in the feature request, and we would be happy to discuss with you as well. So that's about it. Looking forward for more participation, more leverage of the sandbox across all the community.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Grigesh, you got anything else?
No, no, thanks, JJ, for the opportunity. I think it was nice presenting, and I'm glad you liked it. And yeah, we will look forward to more feedback.
Awesome. Well, all right, cool. Well, thanks everyone for watching in the future or live, most likely in the future. But that's great. And say bye, y'all.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank
JJ.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.